Hey everyone, it's technology expert Burton Kelso with another tech tip to help you get the most out of the technology in your life. Today we're talking about how people can get a hold of your passwords. Cyber criminals are out there and they're always looking for ways I can't believe I'm tongue tied, to get to your passwords. I mean, there's many sort of ways that people can get a hold of those passwords, and we're going to take a quick look at those ways and show you tips on how to keep yourself safe from the hackers that are out there on the internet. We're going to switch screens and take a look at ways to stay safe. The first and foremost, the number one way that people can get a hold of your passwords is through brute force. And brute force is basically a method where hackers will utilize software or their own manual labor in order to guess what your password is. Brute force software can be installed on your computer and other devices, and it'll just continue to try a number of ways where it'll try to access your password. Or a hacker who thinks that they know your password may get a hold of your device and they'll just try a bunch of different password procedures in order to log into your account. Brute force attacks can occur, but they're not as common as the next one on our list, and that is data breaches. Now, data breaches obviously have been happening quite a bit in our society. There's the Equifax data breach that has happened and Facebook data breach that has happened. So data breaches are pretty common, and if you're going to have your password lost, a data breach is probably the most common way that it's going to happen, unfortunately, in our society today, just because of the nature of how cybercrime is. Next on our list is phishing. Now, phishing schemes are pretty prominent because it's the easiest way to trick somebody out of their password. Phishing schemes are socially engineered, so that means that hackers try to try to create emails that are designed to yank your information out of your knowledge. So I don't know how that made sense, but anyway, what happens with the phishing scheme is that cyber criminals will send out an email. Email looks like it comes from a legitimate source, and you voluntarily give up your password, which under normal circumstances you wouldn't. But with the phishing scheme email, it's pretty simple to do, and many people fall for it. In fact, it's probably the top way that many people or most people fall for password schemes or data crimes. Number four is spying. Now, how does spying occur? It occurs in two ways because spying can occur in real life and it can also occur on your device. Now, spying in real life happens if let's say you're sitting at a coffee shop or an internet cafe. You enter in your password, but there's someone lurking over your shoulder, kind of like these action figures on the either side of me. And with spying, people can figure out what your password is on your mobile device, such as a laptop, or if you've got an Android device and you use the pattern, cyber criminals can figure out that pattern, steal your device, and then they've got access to all of your data. So buyer beware when you're out and about. There are people spying on smart devices in order to figure out what passwords are. And then finally, the final method that people figure out your password is through guessing. Now, guessing, you might think, well, no one's going to guess my password because I've got a pretty secure password, right? Well, the problem with that was many people will use common objects for passwords. And with many of us getting on social media, we start to share parts of our life that could equate to our password in our social media posts. So if you have children or a dog or a cat or any other pet that you name, people will use those names in order to create a password. So after a few guesses or perusing your social media accounts, hackers can kind of figure out what your passwords are and they can guess and get into your important account information. Also, if it doesn't seem that you're a secure person, then hackers can kind of guess that maybe you use a commonly used password, such as a birth date or just a common phrase, as your password. Now, how do you keep yourself safe from all of these password snafus or all of these thefts that can happen with your password? Well, it's pretty simple. Number one, you want to use complex passwords. If you use just a standard 4 character or 8 character password, you put yourself at risk. You want to use a password that's got at least 10 characters or more, and perhaps you want to start using a passphrase as a password. A passphrase is 2 words put together, uh, probably followed up with some numbers and special characters that have no relation to each other. So maybe you could create a passphrase called Stinky Monitor 2018, or another one that says Carbon Chicken 2017. But those are examples of some passphrases that you could use in order to keep yourself safe. As far as managing all of those passwords for your different online accounts, which if you haven't already, you should use different passwords for all of your online accounts. But to manage those, you want to use a password manager such as LastPass, or you can even use the password manager built into Google Chrome, which will allow you to keep your password safe. The next thing you want to do is if there is a data breach in the news, you want to make sure that you go through and change your passwords. Many people will read about data breaches, but they fail to take steps to keep their accounts safe when there is a data breach. So if you see a data breach occur and it affects one of your online accounts, be sure to change the passwords for all of those accounts, and that way your accounts will stay safe from hackers. And finally, I don't think I need to tell anybody this, but you want to make sure that you keep all of your passwords safe and secure, and don't share that information with anyone out there on the internet. So if you've got comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you to find out what tech tips that you would like me to cover in future videos. And I hope this tech tip about passwords will remind you to change your password if you haven't done it in a long while. Speaking of, I'm going to go a stretch with this. Speaking of passwords, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel at Integral or myself, Burton Kelso, the technology expert. That's a horrible lead in, but if you want to keep up on the latest tech tips and tricks, be sure to follow us on YouTube and follow us on all of the social media channels out there. So do many things to make you smile, and make sure that you take care of yourself, and stay tuned for the next tech tip out there. Thanks for watching.